Newsfirst that is centered around news and activities centered around Sri Lanka's economy. I'm Theruni Karunaratna. Let's start off with your headlines for tonight. Indian companies eye Grand Hyatt building. Sri Lanka tourism prepares for global promotion. Indian energy company Petronet to supply gas to Sri Lanka. Team from Indian milk giant Amul inspects NLDB farms. Over 1 ton of plastic removed from the seabed. Tourism Minister Harin Fernando says that the Sri Lanka Tourism Bureau is preparing to launch the global promotion next month with the new slogan, Sri Lanka, you'll come back for more. The 360-degree marketing blitz is to commence in 11 strategic markets: India, the United Kingdom, China, Germany, France, Australia, Russia, the Middle East, Scandinavia, Japan and South Korea, with 1.2 billion rupees in funds for the campaign until August this year.
The campaign is based on the fact that over 30% of tourists coming to Sri Lanka are repeat travellers. Minister Fernando said that if all goes well, 2024 could witness one of the most successful years in Sri Lanka's tourism history. Sri Lanka aims to draw 2.3 million tourists and earn over $4 billion from tourism this year. The target for 2030 is 5 million tourists and earnings of $21.6 billion. Another target is yet to increase average spending per visitor to $4,000, with 2.5 million of them spending over $500 per day. In 2023, a total of 1,487,303 tourists visited Sri Lanka, a 106.6% increase over the 719,978 arrivals of 2022.
Indian media report that energy company Petronet will supply liquefied natural gas or LNG to Sri Lanka beginning 2025, which will be utilized to run power plants with 300 megawatt capacity. Initially, the LNG will be supplied through containers, and later the state-run company will establish a floating storage regasification unit in Sri Lanka. Petronet LNG CEO A.K. Singh, speaking on the sidelines of the India Energy Week, said, quote, Sri Lanka has already installed about 300 megawatts of gas-based power plants and still they don't have gas. Sri Lanka approached us to set up an LNG terminal which is going to take more time, about 3 to 4 years, unquote. Singh explained that Petronet is working to supply LNG through containers loaded on ships as a stopgap arrangement. About 850 tons of gas per day will be supplied to the island nation in containers of 17 tons each. The supply will begin by 2025. Singh said Sri Lanka's requirement is almost 50 containers per day. The supplies would be for 5 years, during which time the company will also build a floating storage regasification unit at the Colombo port. This will take around 1.5 years of time, and the unit will require 12 to 15 acres of land. He added, quote, we have worked 3 years for setting up the terminal. The capital expenditure for the FSRU-based terminal will be around 2,500 crore Indian rupees, unquote. Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Wijesekara said that discussions were held with the Indian Oil Corporation or IOC regarding a proposed multi-product oil pipeline connecting Nagapatnam, the Trincomalee tank farm and Colombo.
Writing on social media platform X, he noted that he engaged in talks with IOC officials on the sidelines of the India Energy Week in Goa. He said technical studies demand market analysis. Financial evaluations and business model assessments will be conducted to assess the feasibility and viability of the project. The minister added, quote, we also discussed the investments and expansion of projects under the joint venture in Trincomalee Tank Farm, Ceylon Petroleum Storage Terminal and Lanka IOC retail operations. The chairman of IOC, LIOC, Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and Petroleum Development Act Secretariat Limited participated in the meeting.
A delegation from the Indian milk production giant Amul visited Sri Lanka last week to inspect farms owned by the National Livestock Development Board or NLDB. The inspections are part of a preliminary assessment before the farms are potentially leased to Amul. The National Livestock Development Board owns 31 farms spanning over 28,000 acres of land. As part of the leasing process, the board has initiated an appraisal of the farm's value. Approximately 80% of these land value assessments have been completed to date. In addition to the land, the Animal Production and Health Department has evaluated the value of the animals residing on these farms. The National Livestock Development Board has confirmed that this report has been submitted to the President's office. This development follows a recent agreement between India and Sri Lanka aimed at promoting the liquid milk industry in Sri Lanka. As per the agreement, the farms owned by the National Livestock Development Board are planned to be leased to Amul of India. Divers from the John Keel's group and the Pearl Protectors have removed over 1 metric ton of plastic waste from the seabed of the Sea of Sri Lanka during their first 21 dives on the coasts of Trincomalee, Mannar and Colombo.
Plastic Cycle, the social entrepreneurship project by the John Keel's Group and the Pearl Protectors, held official partnership ceremony of the Cleaner Seabeds for Sri Lanka expedition on the 30th of January 2024. The ceremony coincided with the 21st dive at the Palagala North Reef in Dehiwala and included an awareness session for the invitees about the diving and cleanup process, safety standards maintained by divers, the audit done once waste is collected, the upcycling and recycling efforts made for collected plastic waste, and the positive impact achieved thus far through the partnership. The invitees included officials from the Marine Environment Protection Authority, Central Environmental Authority, Plastic Cycle's other private sector partners, and Blue Oceans Program, Research Triangle Institute and Ecospirals.
Astrum, India's first research-based strategic communication advisory that uses the science of persuasion to understand and shape public opinion ethically and engage. Sri Lanka's pioneer in integrated marketing communications and public relations inked an exclusive strategic alliance that bridges India and Sri Lanka's connectivity with a partnership that benefits clients in both nations. This mutually exclusive partnership capitalizes on the growing economic strength of the South Asian subcontinent, home to one of the largest and fastest growing free market economies in the world today. The partnership will see both Astrum and Engage collaborate to offer clients in India and Sri Lanka a seamless service experience and leverage each other's capabilities to offer research-based multidisciplinary strategic communication solutions. The agreement also envisages an active talent exchange program to develop specialist capabilities and offer growth opportunities to team members in both firms. Ashwini Singhalla, founding managing partner of Astrum, said, quote, "The communication world is not what it used to be because the shelf life of the old normal has expired and the new world demands new paradigms of strategic communications. The combined acumen of Astrum and Engage will help clients successfully negotiate the complex landscape of reputation, risk and regulation in this new world. Our partnership is built on a shared passion for a science-powered approach to shape powerful narratives that deliver outcomes that matter to our clients," unquote. Commenting on the tie-up, Nimal Gunawardena, founder, chairman and chief strategist of Engage Advocacy and PR, said, quote, "I'm delighted at the prospect of working again with Ashwini Singhalla, who invited us to join BM in 2008 and has now promised to help reinforce our expertise and international access. Our affiliation with Astrum enables us to help Sri Lankan companies as they increasingly go into regional markets and Indian companies to build their brands here while bringing access and expertise for national projects and FDI promotion," unquote. Engage Strategic Alliance is a pioneering PR and IMC consultancy founded in 1993 by its chairman Nimal Gunawardena. It brought Sri Lanka's first multinational network tie-up when it became an affiliate of Roland Communications Worldwide in 1996. Between 2008 and 2019, it was the exclusive affiliate in Sri Lanka of global giant Burson Marsteller. It reverted to its indie status and rebranded as Engage in 2019 and launched Engage Advocacy and PR to drive purpose-driven and cause marketing to work in ESG areas with clients. Astrum serves clients through its presence in the North Central region, Mumbai and Bangalore, and reaches 60 cities and towns in all major states of India and over 100 cities in more than 30 countries in 5 continents. continents across the globe through their network of partners. Astrom was founded by Ashwini Singhala in 2015 as the next progression for public relations, with the proven belief that deep insights are the fountainhead of breakthrough thinking and data-supported decisions will always have a greater probability of success. State Minister of Finance Ranjit Sembalapati told Parliament that government revenue in the month of January has shot up 25% higher than the target to 274 billion rupees, aided by increased value-added tax in addition to widened coverage.
The State Minister highlighted that the Customs Department also exceeded its target of 114 billion rupees for January, achieving 121 billion rupees, marking an 11% increase over the estimated revenue. Moreover, the Excise Department reported a revenue of 14 billion rupees, surpassing the target of 12 billion rupees, whilst the Inland Revenue Department recorded 114 billion, exceeding the set target of 88.9 billion rupees. Sembalapati noted that despite concerns regarding inflation following the 20% increase in the VAT rate from 15% to 18%, January witnessed a manageable inflation rate of 6.4%. He said food inflation remained low at 3.3%, attributed to the exemption of essential commodities from VAT, while non-food inflation stood at 7.9%.
Opposition parliamentarian of the Samagijana Balavega, Dr. Harsha De Silva, has been reappointed as the chair of the Committee on Public Finance of the Parliament. The selection committee had nominated the members of parliament to serve in the Committee on Public Finance. They are Shehan Singha, Dr. Sita Arambepola, Dr. Suren Raghavan, Anupa Pasquale, Johnston Fernando, Rauf Hakim, Bajrabe Vardana, Vich the Herath, Mahindananda Aludgamage, Duminda Disanayaka, Chandima Virakudi, Dr. Nalaka Godaheva, Dr. Harsha De Silva, Nimal Lanza, M.A. Sumandiran, Dr. Kavinda Heshan Jayavardana, Mayantha Disanayaka, Harshana Raja Karuna, UK Sumit Udukumbura, Dr. Major Pradeep Undugoda, Isuru Dodangoda, Premnath C. Dolavatta, Madhura Vithanage, and MWD Sahan Pradeep Vithana. We'll be heading for a short commercial break. We'll be right back.
The Business Buzz.
Education, an invaluable asset that can never be taken away from you. Laying the foundation stone for a new library building for the students of Nakia Denia Udagama, aiming to open new doors for a brighter future. Gamnanda, for the people, by the people.
The Business Buzz.
Welcome back to the Business Buzz. Global oil futures climbed steeply last week by as much as 6% due to the dashing hopes for a possible ceasefire in Gaza, plus increased tensions in other parts of the Middle East.
Brent crude futures held above $81 per barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude futures held above $76 per barrel as persistent geopolitical tensions in the Middle East continued to drive up oil prices. This included a jump of more than 3% in a single day last Thursday when Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejected a ceasefire proposal by Hamas. On the demand side, official data showed that U.S. gasoline inventories declined by 3.15 million barrels last week, far exceeding forecasts for a 150,000 barrel draw. U.S. crude stockpiles rose 5.5 million barrels during the same period, above market expectations for a 1.895 million barrel build.
There's some alarming news for chocolate lovers around the world on the eve of Valentine's Day. Production of cocoa has plummeted among major producers, leading to a whopping 130% increase in prices year on year and 40% over the last month. Cocoa prices are hitting fresh record levels around the $6,000 mark amid persistent concerns over limited supplies. Leading cocoa producers Ivory Coast and Ghana are grappling with tight supplies caused by diseases spreading in their plantations, compounded by seasonal harmattan winds, which bring dry weather and negatively impact crop quality and yield. The El Nino-associated dryness is anticipated to exacerbate the situation, potentially leading to a further decline in cocoa output. The latest data showed Ivory Coast production was down by 39% during the period from the 1st of October to the 4th of February in comparison with the same period of the previous year, with only 1.04 million metric tons being shipped to ports. Simultaneously, Ghana's graded and sealed cocoa arrivals reached just 341,000 metric tons by the 31st of January since the start of this season's harvest on the 1st of September, down 35% from 521,000 metric tons a year ago. Meanwhile, soaring cocoa prices are already filtering through to consumers and are squeezing major chocolate makers. Dr. Gehan Gunathilaka has been appointed as an independent non-executive director on the board of Janashakti Insurance plc.
Dr. Gunathilaka is an attorney at law and a founding partner of Lex AG, a law firm based in Colombo. Dr. Gunathilaka is currently a commissioner at the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka. He has a doctorate and a master's degree in law from the University of Oxford, where he was a Commonwealth Scholar, and an LLM from Harvard Law School, where he was a Fulbright Scholar. He is a former advisor to Sri Lanka's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where he advised the government on international treaty compliance and access to the European Union's GSP Plus trade concession scheme. The board of Janashakti Insurance plc now comprises Prakash Shafter, Ramesh Shafter, A. Rodrigo, W. D. Costa, A. Sena Naika, Dr. Nishan Dimel, S. Renganathan, Dr. Gehan Gunathilaka and R. Lienage.
Exterminators plc has announced the appointment of Dr. Kishu Gomez as the chairman and non-executive independent director.
Dr. Gomez served as the Managing Director CEO at Chevron Lubricants Lanka plc and Chevron Ceylon Limited for over 18 years. He was also the chairman of Caltex Bangladesh Limited and served on the board of Caltex India Limited. He started off his career at Coca-Cola and progressed through to become a senior manager, holding a variety of sales and marketing positions. He was assigned with 2 country assignments in Singapore and Vietnam. Dr. Gomez served as the chairman of Sri Lanka Tourism and led the industry to recovery following the Easter attack. He continues to support Sri Lanka tourism as an expert advisory committee member. Dr. Gomez also served as an expert committee member of the Presidential Expert Committee to formulate Sri Lanka's National Sustainable Development Vision and Strategy 2030 and was picked to head the Implementation Committee as its chairman. With 2 doctorates conferred, he also holds an MBA and marketing degrees from the UK. He was also the youngest to head the American Chamber of Commerce in Sri Lanka as its president. He was also senior vice chairman of CIM, patron of Sri Lanka Automobile Engineers and chairman of Private Sector Business Coalition on HIV/AIDS, which are amongst other honorary positions held. He currently serves on the advisory boards of 4 private universities.
Former financial services professional Jehan Ismail has been appointed as a non-executive director to the board of the Bank of Ceylon.
Jehan counts over 40 years of extensive commercial and investment banking experience, mainly in Asia and also in countries in the Western Hemisphere and the Middle East. His experience ranges from managing boutique and full-service investment banks to managing corporate banking divisions, various country operations, international trade divisions, control audit functions and compliance and risk management units. Jehan currently functions as chairman of Empower Capital Limited and Empower Capital Securities Limited. He was earlier CEO of Empower Capital Limited, CEO of First Capital Holdings plc, COO of both HSBC Colombia and HSBC South Arabia, CEO of SAB Securities, Senior Vice President Corporate Banking of HSBC Indonesia and Global Relationship Manager Corporate Banking of HSBC Hong Kong.
The Business Buzz.
ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ විදිහට අපි ගොඩද?
මේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති රාමුවත් මේකත් හිස් වූ රාමුවක්.
නායකෙක්ට පුළුවන් අවශ්‍යයි නම් සංවේදීත් වෙලා ඒ වෙලාවෙම තාර්කිකත් වෙන්න.
ජානමය හේතුත් බලපාන්න පුළුවන් ද සමහර වෙලාවට මානසික තත්ත්ව වෙනස් වෙන්න.
මානසික රෝගයක් 80%ක් ජානගතයි. 20%ක් එන්වයරන්මන්ට් එකේ ඉන්නේ.
නින්දේදිත් සිදුවෙන ශ්වසන අපහසුතාවන් පිළිබඳ අපිට වාර්තා වෙනවා. මේක ගොරවනකොට වැඩි වෙනවද?
නින්දේදී සිදුවන ශ්වසන අවහිරතාවය නැත්නම් මේක හඳුන්වනවා මේ ඔබ්ස්ට්‍රක්ටිව් ස්ලීප් ඇප්නියා කියන තත්ත්වය.
ජාතික මෙහෙවර සතියේ දිනවල උදෑසන 11ට.
The Business Buzz.
It is now time for Food for Thought, where we give you something to think about. There is much talk these days about economic stability. Many in the upper echelons of Colombo society point to the lack of queues for fuel and gas, blissfully unaware of the realities facing the overwhelming majority of the population. But where is the economic growth? A GDP growth of 1% or 2% isn't really growth. Real growth comes from anything above 5%. The latest World Bank estimates are that India will grow by 6.3% in 2023-2024. The Maldives will have 6.5%, Bangladesh 5.6%. Nepal is expected to have 3.9%. Only Pakistan and Sri Lanka are meandering around, both at 1.7%. Where are the jobs? When was the last time we saw a factory being opened? Our youth are fleeing the country in droves. 2 million passports have been issued in 2022, 23 and 24. Every economic and professional sector is suffering from a massive brain drain. The government says that 2.4 million families are receiving welfare. That is almost half the population. Inflation is still running at 6.4%. That's quite high. Given that many families already can't afford 3 square meals a day, makes it even worse. Despite the efforts of the central bank lending rates remain too high for entrepreneurs. Electricity costs are prohibitive. Economic stability is not the lack of fuel queues. It would be the commissioning of factories providing thousands of new jobs to young and old alike. Slowly building up the country's forex reserves while not paying our international debts is akin to living in a fool's paradise. Without robust economic growth, a high level of foreign direct investment and strong exports, our forex reserves would dissipate as soon as we begin to pay our debts. This is an election year, and the time is right for every political party to reveal their plans for economic growth. Simply waiting to be voted in by a desperate population and then floundering around would bring about another economic disaster. We leave you tonight with words of wisdom of a notable global thinker, as we always do. American economist Robert Solow, who won the Nobel Prize for Economics in 1987, said, "Why does a public discussion of economic policy so often show the abysmal ignorance of the participants?" And that's all the time we have for you tonight. For the Business Buzz, I am Tharuni Karunaratne. We'll see you again same time next week. Until then, take care and good night.
The Business Buzz.